Let's talk about creating a handmade wardrobe for maternity and postpartum. I am nearing the end of my pregnancy and I'm really thinking about that postpartum season and comfort. I am to the end where not many things fit anymore. I know soon that I'm just going to want to be comfortable and be lounging around our house, and spring is coming, the season is changing, and so my needs are changing too of what I'm going to need to wear. So I knew that I had all of these patterns I could work with and kind of turn into a very postpartum friendly wardrobe. This has been on the back of my mind for a while, and just going through even fabrics that I already have in plans and patterns that I already have, I have come up with a few staple pieces that I believe are going to be so beneficial for postpartum and the last weeks of pregnancy where not much is fitting, but I want to also feel like myself. And that is a huge goal of mine in many areas of life, especially sewing. I want to create things that I'm going to like and enjoy reaching for, that are in fabrics that I like, in colors. I know that this season can be a little, well, a lot uncomfortable, especially when you just don't feel like yourself. So I hope these ideas help just spark some inspiration for you, and the patterns are helpful for your own maternity and postpartum season. First, thankfully, I have many things that I've made that will also transition really well into the next season. And one of those I'm actually wearing right now is the Betty dress with the wrap top. So this is part of our Betty dress collection. There are 4 different bodice types and the wrap top, and then the button down version, which is kind of like a hack that you could call it. I'll link them both below. Those are great for postpartum because they're nursing friendly, they're comfortable. I just love a good dress, but as you know, you kind of need the dress to work in a certain way if you are nursing and everything. So the Betty dress with a wrap top is a great option. Thankfully, I already had one made, so I won't be making another one. It's perfect while you're pregnant because the Betty dress has so much flow to it that it helps you feel put together and it helps you feel comfortable, and is just something that can transition well from season to season. Another dress that I plan on reaching for is the Ola dress with the button down. I made this out of a really soft linen bed sheet, and it's so comfortable. It's easy to wear. You can just throw it on and not have a care in the world because you're so comfortable. And I'm also currently making the Ola blouse button down for just really comfortable kind of like loungy set. So this I'm going to pair with the Ada lounge shorts. I found this cotton stripe fabric from Hobby Lobby and I thought it was perfect. They have sales a lot, so I was able to get a lot of fabric. Even though it was a smaller bolt width, I kind of made some modifications to make the shirt not as billowy, and that way it just doesn't feel like too much, especially when I just want to lounge in bed. With this on, it'll feel more like a put together PJs. So I feel like this is going to be one of those sets that I reach for a lot. For the fabric, I should have probably lined it, but since we're going to be home, I'm not too worried about it. I'll just kind of keep it as my home lounge set. I'm excited to see that one come together, and you can find the patterns for that below. So for the nature of just being pregnant, having a small business, being a mom, running our home, having all these creative ideas that I want to get to, I can be a little scatterbrained sometimes, and I love lists. I love to create lists. I love to have things organized. Mainly I like to things written down, but I always find myself out and about and I cannot find the paper, or I left it at home. I didn't take a picture of it. So I have been working hard to just implement more systems in my life that create organization. And one of those I talked about previously, and that is working through Notion. I learned about it through Skillshare, who is the sponsor of today's video. So I'd like to thank Skillshare for partnering with me on today's video and even teaching me all about Notion, because it's a very valuable resource when you know how to use it correctly. So I've been taking these classes on Skillshare about Notion, just learning the ins and outs of how to organize my day and how to get more use out of this free resource. So I've been walking through the learning path that Skillshare has, which is supercharge your productivity with Notion. So like I said, this is not for just work. It's for all of the areas of my life, which feel like they run together. So having everything in one place has just been so valuable, especially these last few weeks of pregnancy where I feel like I want to get 100 things done at one time. So I've been working through the learning path, and I love that Skillshare just lays it out like a path that you take. You go from A to Z, and at the end you feel so equipped to use this software. Or you can even do this for sewing or learning any creative skill. They have learning paths for so many areas of creative living. And that's why Skillshare is so great, because it's the largest online platform for creatives. And being a creative, I know that it can be easy to be like, I want to figure it out for myself. But I have learned the value of working smarter and not harder, and following the outlines that other people have created has been so valuable in my growing and learning in any creative skill. If you are wanting to learn a new skill, take a learning path for a specific creative endeavor, or even join me on a journey of learning Notion, you can use my link below. If you are one of the first 500 people to use my link, you can sign up and get a free month of Skillshare. Thank you, Skillshare, for partnering with me on today's video. I talk about fabrics a lot and really try to put a lot of effort into the selections I make for fabric. I will put off making something until I find that perfect fabric, because there's just nothing like being able to grab a piece that you created and just gravitate towards, and fabric has a lot to do with that. Personally, I usually choose natural fibers like cotton or linen, a blend of those. I love linen because it's breathable, it doesn't make you overheat, and I know that in the postpartum season that's so needed, is that temperature regulation. So we're moving into warmer months here. It's about to be spring, it's already warming up, so the fabric choices have been really top of mind for me, especially for this handmade wardrobe that I'm creating. And a way to get a lot of fabric for more reasonable amount is to reach for linen duvets and sheets and find these thrifted or secondhand in some way. That I actually made a dress from one of our old linen duvets that had gained a few holes in one little section. So I created a dress out of that. I'm actually going to dye it a different color. That will just be one of those easy dresses that I can throw on. That was like my tester piece, and I made it out of linen, and so I definitely didn't want that to go to waste. So I am going to dye it to a color I'm going to wear. But I also made it out of this yellow striped linen that I got on a trip to Portland. I love how this dress turned out. It has a drawstring in the front, which has an opening where it has like a little v-neck placket, and then the sleeves are elastic, and it's just so comfortable. You definitely want to make this if you are in any season of life, not just postpartum or maternity, because it's adaptable and versatile. Just one of those fun makes. And so I will link the tutorial for that below. It's a free tutorial, Anyone can make it, in my opinion. My goal with all of these makes is to be comfortable. And the number one time I want to be the most comfortable is during labor. And during my labor with my daughter, I created this dress, and it's basically two large rectangles sewn together. It is not anything fancy, but let me tell you, it is so comfortable to wear, especially in the early parts of labor. It is a great option if you're birthing at home or birth center or the hospital, wherever you are. It will make you feel a little bit better than the gowns that they give you. And it is so easy. So I'm going to show you how to make that right now. When I tell you, it is so easy to make, so comfortable to wear, and so worth the effort in your wardrobe. I wore it postpartum with my daughter and just threw a little jacket over it. And that was great for walks around the neighborhood. It's one of those things that I was really happy to have with the labor of my daughter. I'm excited to show you how to make that. First, you'll need a couple yards of jersey or knit fabric. You may need more or less depending on your measurements, which we will find next. Find your measurements for the dress. We are really going to be guessing here because you want this to fit pregnant and postpartum, which means you'll need it to be oversized to accommodate for your growing belly and still be comfortable postpartum. To do this, roughly measure from your bicep to the other bicep. Take a measurement from your shoulder to where you want your labor gown to stop. Add 2 inches to this measurement for the hem. If you have one long piece of fabric, you can cut one large rectangle, or you can cut 2 rectangles with this measurement. Fold the large rectangle in half and then fold in half again. Measure across 4.5 inches from the center and make a mark with a water-soluble pin. Make a mark 1 inch down from the center fold, and connect these 2 marks by drawing a curved line that will become your neck opening. If you prefer, you could fold a shirt you have in half and trace it for the neckline. Keep the fabric you just cut and use this as a guide to create a neckband. Fold your fabric in half and trace the bottom curve. Using a measuring tape or seam allowance gauge, mark 1 inch around this curve. Add 1 inch to each end for seam allowance. Cut the neckbands and right sides together, sew at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Starting at the shoulders with the right sides together, pin the neckband to the neck opening. Use a stretch needle and zigzag stitch to attach the neckband. You can also use a serger here if you have one. Fold the neckband towards the inside of the dress and press. Stitch down using a stretch stitch or elongated straight stitch. With your dress folded, mark 9 inches from the top of the shoulder on the front and back. Starting at the back mark, fold the fabric towards the wrong side at 1/4 inch. Starting here, sew straight stitch until you reach the mark on the front of the dress. This will make the arm openings. Repeat this for the other side. Now fold the dress in half again, right sides together, and starting just above the sleeve openings, sew the side seam at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Repeat this for the other side of the dress. Now hem the dress to your desired length and you are finished. So these are my sewing plans for creating a handmade wardrobe that is perfect for maternity and postpartum. And I'm excited to see how these things transition into a new season, how they support the rest that is coming, and just that slowness of welcoming a new life into our home. I hope these ideas were helpful for you. You can find all of the patterns below, and if you're looking for some more sewing inspiration, you can click this next video.